So here's this comment. I wanted to put it out here. See, that's what I'm talking about. You've made comments like this before you made your first video, I think, on me. The first video was not out of all that much anger because you were hoping I preferred you or whatever. That's how most of you black men are. You stay in this state of please, 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 please accept me. Please, please, please love me. Please, please, please appreciate me. And the thing is, it's just like for me, I don't even see your male parts as even male parts. I see them as feces. It looks literally like the thing I just pushed out of my butt. It looks very similar to what my dog just pushed out of her butt. I'm pretty sure you know that yourself. When you push out feces, it looks identical to what you call that thing you consider a penis that's in front of you, which is really just feces attached to your crotch. So, that's how I see it. I'm never going to prefer you, okay? Never. And you are going to continue to have a fit over it. Now, this comment was made back, I think, in April or something, before I even knew you existed. I've never even focused on you. We have a whole video of you talking about how you wished I preferred you or whatever. So that's what I have to say about that. Now, on the whole situation of you trying to turn it around because I called you trans or whatever, that's not gonna work. Do you know why that's not gonna work? If you watched my channel, you would already know that. I'm not a feminine woman. So I specifically said I have gender dysphoria. Do you know what gender dysphoria is? Oh, I think you thought that only men, male people, could want to be women. And the only reason people think only male people would want to be female is because they want to be female themselves. That's the only type of person who would think that, you see. And so then you're basically exposing yourself and coming out of the closet right there by saying that you wish you were a woman yourself. I'm just saying. I'm someone who doesn't like being biologically female. That's just the truth. I don't like being female. I've always said that. My physical phenotype, I wish looked male. And the things about me that are a bit more masculine, I appreciate. So, that's not going to bother me. And one can kind of tell this. I was already saying that about some of the things that I feel like outside of what I am on the outside. Because, like I said, biological female, but I do not like being female. I've never really aligned with females like that since I was, I think, 11, when I understood the difference between a male and a female on a basis of social expectation. I understood that I was not going to fit the social expectation of a female because I'm not feminine. My mother's not feminine either. Now, my mother is a little bit more feminine than me because she'll be more the type who's like, she'll use femininity to manipulate someone. Femininity is like a tool for her, like a costume that you use to manipulate men, women, anything to get what you want. That's how my mother is. Me, I'm kind of just like, I don't care to trick people, do anything for people. What they see is what they get, kind of like situation. I don't mind makeup and hair and stuff any more than, I think of it, any person who likes makeup and hair. Like, men like makeup and hair too. My my ex actually liked that type of stuff. But anyway, that's a long story. We're not talking about that. But people like makeup and hair sometimes. And even then, I'm not even all that into makeup and hair every day. It's kind of like when I'm ovulating, I can sometimes have bits of me that are very feminine, where I'm like, I want to get all dolly and stuff, but even then, I still don't really feel feminine. I feel like a full feminine for sexual purposes, kind of like to be somewhat submissive to a man. As far as how I feel about femininity, but generally, like on a daily basis, do I feel feminine? No, I really don't. I've always said there's a scale of 1 to 10 on masculinity to femininity for me. Masculinity is a 10 and femininity is a 1. All the way, for me, masculinity is around an 8 around today. This is like the last day of my period. I don't know why. At the last day of my period, I'm like the most masculine, I think, for some reason. But around like in between the time period of my period and my ovulation is like my most mellowed out masculine side of me, which is an 8, basically, which 10 is the most masculine. Now, I'm not ever like the most macho masculine type of person, ever. I'm more of an 8 on a regular day. Now, when I ovulate, or like 6 days before I ovulate, around that time period, I get maybe 7 days actually. I don't know, somewhere around there. Um, I get more into the state of being a 6, and there are 2 points in my cycle where I get very feminine. That's on my ovulation day, I'm extremely feminine, and then there's a time that I kind of trail off where I'm very feminine off of that ovulation hit point, kind of, and then when I have my period, like 2-3 days before, very feminine as well. Those days I would say I'm a 6 too. In that time period, right before my period, I am actually my most feminine. Makes sense. I think my mind is trying to trick me into being okay with bleeding, actually. Um, so that's just me, basically. Um, as far as like periods, I do not have as much dysphoria as much as I have misery. When you cramp, you have more misery than you really care about male or female. You care more about, physical comfort, being able to stand up, walk in cold spaces, uh, and, being able to feel like you're not being torn apart in your crotch area. Because that's what cramps feel like to me. I feel like things are tearing up in really fucked up situations. And mine aren't lucky either, because mine are like, I have days where one day it's bad, and then the second day it's kind of and then the third day it's still bad, and then the fourth day is finally good. So that's why for me it's kind of like, I don't know, it's not like I'm thinking of male or female, I'm thinking of when can I feel better kind of situation. I know some people who are female to male transgender people get a lot of trigger points when they have their periods, you know. And I think, that goes down to the pain of it, and the problems that occur because of it. So, on top of not really wanting to be a female, being punished for it on top of it. So, I mean, yeah. And anyone can really look at my comments on some of the RadFem channels, because I do support their channels as well. And they can kind of know how I stand on these issues. This is why I'm very moderate, I guess you could say, when it comes to transgender people, and I have a very different perspective, and I've always had this perspective since I was in college. See, I have a sense of being very much against transgender people getting surgery because I don't feel like I don't feel like transgender people really need or want surgery. I feel like transgender people are conditioned to want surgery because of how they're treated. It is so hard to be a masculine woman. Men hate masculine women. They want to break masculine women. They want to break them, and they feel like masculine women are somewhere down deep, weak women, um, because they see feminine women as weak. So they want to find weakness in masculine women. And so when this happens, women like me suffer basically because we're not naturally weak and we're not naturally feminine. We're not naturally soft, you know. And I wasn't raised to be soft, feminine, or weak because I was raised by my mother is more of a masculine female. So that's why for me, it's rough living like basically a more masculine woman. Um, so basically, when people try and talk about femininity being a goal for people, that's not my goal, And a major problem for me is, you know, that society expects women to be feminine and soft, and that's the only way they think that women can win. But you can't win being yourself, basically, because people label what yourself is, basically. And I know I said that wrong. I'm saying what yourself, as in quotes. Um, so that's what my problem is. Is that for me, you know, that's why I have an issue with surgery with transgender people because it's like, it perpetuates the idea of labeling women and saying what a woman is and saying what we should be, basically, rather than just letting us be. And the label of women came from the patriarchy. And because of this, I feel like transgender people are kind of a symptom of misogyny by telling a woman what a woman is supposed to be, instead of just letting women be and letting men be. Of course, this translates to men because men are told who they are supposed to be. When, like I said, people are just people, and what sex we're born is the sex we're born biologically. End of story, you know. So that's what my perspective is on it. I guess you could say plenty of people, okay, know me in the past as far as my aligning with the LGBT community. They've known me to be basically pre-transitioned, female to male transgender. So that means I was born female, would transition to male, but I don't believe in the transitioning to male part of it. So that's the thing with me, basically. I'm not the type who is into labeling women. I don't believe in saying that it takes more than having a vagina, ovaries, uterus, and a period every month to be a woman. I think that's all it takes. And if you have the female sex, then you have every right to be a female, regardless of if you are a masculine person. Masculinity and femininity are parts of your personality and who you are as a person. It doesn't define your sex. So that's why my perception is the way I see it. So when you talk about someone being masculine or looking masculine or whatever, that to me doesn't define me because I understand that I still have ovaries, uterus, and vagina. As much as that used to make me feel pissed off. You know, I've had periods where I would rather have a penis. That's where my dysphoria is the biggest. And this is why my sex life is kind of weird in itself. But I really don't talk about that, honestly. But anyway, um, so for me, I mean, like, I think that, you can't really change what you are biologically. That's how I see it. So that's my answer to you trying to talk about people and transgender people or whatever. My perception is I don't have any issue with transgender people, but I don't think they should transition physically. See, a lot of people who are against transgender people will tell transgender people how to live their lives. When I say live their lives, I mean what kind of clothing they wear, how to act, what length hair, makeup, things like that. That is their choice. They get to live the way they choose to live. I have every right now to not wear any makeup, to wear pants, to not wear long hair, and to be perfectly comfortable that way. You know, and that doesn't mean I'm not a biological female. You know, I can still do that. I still will be someone's mother. I will never be anybody's father, sadly. As much as I would prefer, what I would prefer personally is to have male genitalia. One, for sexual purposes, because for me, the way I relate sexually, it makes more sense to have a penis than to have a vagina. um, because I'm just more partial to men as a top. It's just what it is. Um, but yeah, it is what it is, and I wouldn't believe in like getting a whole hysterectomy and all that stuff unless my life depended on it. And if that was the case, maybe I would try to go forward with transitioning at that point, because to me, I would think whether I take testosterone or estrogen, it would be a hormone other than my own body, then I might as well. But I'm saying, as my point right now, it's kind of like I feel like my body is best this way because I feel like to procreate, I'd have to have children by being pregnant. I've gone on a whole long list of how being pregnant was very, very much triggering for me. When I was pregnant, I went on a whole long rant on that in the past. So, I mean, I've had that issue. But, I would still rather try to have children whenever, because I do want to have children. That's the thing. And I feel like the only way to have children is to have them through me, even though I would prefer someone else carry my child. I mean, and me to just, contribute with the sperm. But if you think of it, you see how, in some ways, it is beneficial if you think of it, because, like, men can't protect their children, if you think of it. But I don't really think I have any maternal instincts. So to me, it's like, even in that spectrum, do I have that motherly instinct? Not really, but I do not have that weak instinct that a lot of females have either, which could help with my motherly instinct, I guess. Because a lot of women depend on men, and I'm not one to depend on men or look to men like that. I just don't, regardless of race. I just don't see men as more powerful than me. I don't see them as better than me. I don't see them in any regard like that. In a mental sense, I know they're physically stronger, but I'm saying mentally, I don't find them more strong than me. I don't feel they can protect me in a mental way. I don't feel they can defend me in a mental way. I feel like I can break a man down better than he can break me down, which is very true because I am the type that will go anywhere to degrade a man, basically, while a man can't really do the same to me. See, when a man, for example, I'm willing to call a man a bitch, a pussy, and a cunt very quickly and easily. But there's no translation to call a man, call a woman the same terms. This is the power I always find in being a woman. And there's only a few things to be happy about being a woman for. But, those are one of the things I find very comfortable because at my position, it's like, well, these are things you already call a woman. When I call you that, what does it do? What does it do when I call you a bitch, when I call you a pussy, when I call you a cunt? You can't call me the same thing. You call me the same thing, what's it gonna do? You get what I'm saying? That's how I see it. But yeah, that's one of the few things. Like mentally, I guess you could say I do find men to be a little bit more fragile than me, and I like that. I like having control over men. Now, I don't really like getting control over women, but I like getting control over men. And maybe that's a bit sexual because I do have, like I said, a dominant side to me and a controlling side to me with men. But I don't have that with women because I'm not attracted to them. So, yeah, I don't know. This is a long talk about, I guess, different things of the difference with men and women to me and how I view that whole spectrum. But when you talk about men wanting to be women, I don't comprehend it. I used to use trans women as a way to feel better about myself as far as being a woman because it's like they want to be me, even though I don't want it, and I don't value it, but you value it. You go through all this shit to be me. Well, that's fucking cool. And I do get some fun off of making fun of people like you because I do sense that you're a bit like my ex roommate in the sense that I think you have more of a prominent um, pointer finger. You seem more feminine, and I like feminine minded males because that's the one thing I can be more masculine than you in because I have a prominent ring finger, which means my mind is a little bit more masculine than yours. In vitro, your hand pattern tells you what you were exposed to. If you were exposed to more androgen or more testosterone. For me, my hand pattern kind of actually implies I was exposed to more androgen. So that means my brain was masculinized. Someone whose pointer finger is more prominent means that their pointer finger, that their in vitro, that their estrogen, they were more exposed to estrogen in vitro, basically. There's a whole thing about it. It talks about digit ratio for males and females. Females are usually exposed to more estrogen, obviously, and males are more exposed to androgen, usually, but that's not always the case. And you find this with also transgender people. Often, trans men are more likely to have more of a prominent ring finger, like myself, basically. But the thing is, one thing I don't get along with trans men on is the suicidal side of it. When people say they're so suicidal, it's like, why? That's what I don't get. Like, why are you suicidal because you feel more male but you're female? It's not a bad thing to be a female. If you think it's so bad to be a female, you have a warped mindset towards females. You could think you feel more male. I understand that. I feel that myself. But I don't also try and tell myself that it's such a terrible thing to be a woman. Women are fine people. You may not relate to them, but they are fine people. So, yeah. So that's how I kind of see it. You know, I guess basically at the end of the day, I'm basically a tomboy. Raised by a tomboy, too. And I didn't have a father in the home, so, that kind of had to do with it as well. So, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Sorry for the long uh, speech about it. But you know me, I like to talk about these gender stuff. I watch a lot of stuff on gender too. I'm actually watching another D-trans person. I might share one of their videos. I tend to watch a lot of D-trans people and non-conforming people. I don't really like transgender stuff because I feel like they, like I said, just try to conform to what society told them to do rather than what they actually feel like inside. So, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye.